Meeting to order. We got a whole lot to talk about tonight. We're going to get started, so we're going to get started. Thanks to everyone for coming. Bobby, if you would, when you get a chance, are we recording, my man? Good. If you would, call the roll, please.
City of Benton, Todd Peterson.
Here.
City of Bryant, Mariah Winkle. Here. City of Salem Water, Deacon Kentner.
Here.
City of Haskell, Bonnie Westbrook, present. Southwest Water.
Jason got called out, and he's having, what's the boy's name? Wendell Robideau. He gave him his proxy. He's done that before, but I don't see Wendell.
Saline County Water and Sewer, Jamie Reagan. Excellent. City of Shannon Hills, Mike Kemp.
Here.
Present. And East End Water, Kim Couples.
Not yet, maybe. Maybe she's coming.
We have 5 present, 3 absent, we have 4.
Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome everyone to our regular meeting for May 22nd. If everybody's had a chance to look at the minutes, I would entertain a motion to accept those.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented for April 24th,
Yes.
May 1st, and May 8th.
Yes, sir.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Bobby, when you get through writing, would you do the financials?
All right. With in our checking accounts, the beginning balance in our account number 1, it's the meter fee checking account. We had a beginning balance of $105,141.33 beginning April 1st. No, yes, beginning April 1st. We had deposits of $15,328.75. It leaves an ending balance of $120,470.08. And checking account number 2 is First Security, our main operating account. We had a beginning balance of on April 1st, 2025 of $159,693.49. We had interest earned of $155.22. Had one deposit of $112,925. We had checks written in the amount of $229,497.31. Leaves an ending balance of $43,276.40. Savings account at Farmers Bank and Trust. We had a beginning balance from April 1st, there's about $6,283.34. I deposited the City of Shannon Hills 25 cents per meter per month check in there, which is $428 to offset any, what do they call it, inactivity. You have to pay a surcharge or a charge if you don't have any activity within a year. So we had an ending balance of $6,711.50. Our CDs, $46,382.98. And our checking account number 3 is the easement acquisition account. We had a beginning balance of $118,117.16. We had interest earned of $14.56. Leaves an ending balance of $118,131.72. And I received the first check from Kimsey Water today for their first $10,000 payment towards the easement on Washita River. And
Good.
I need to know where the board wants, which account the board wants me to deposit that in.
Before we make that decision, they'll be sending 9 more in the next 9 years to pay the $100,000 for the easement they're sharing with us. So where we put it, we keep it going.
I will say this: the money that we paid that $200,000 out of come out of the
Yes.
25 cents per meter per month fund. So if that's where you want me to put it back, that's where I will. It's up to the board.
But that account is basically not being used. It's just collecting for future dollars. I don't think we need to put that money right now in checking account number 2 because of expenses that we're incurring
No problem.
for now.
How about you, Mike?
That makes sense to me.
Very good, that's where I'll put it.
Well, do I need to make a motion?
That's,
Do I need to make a motion to?
We need a motion to
Okay,
do
I make a motion that we deposit the $10,000 in checking account number 2, First Security main operating account.
Second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now, we won't worry, is
Rhonda, she's right there.
Miss Rhonda?
There's not a lot to add.
Okay, I was gonna say, you wanna do this before we approve the financials, and we'll do them all, lady? Okay.
The biggest thing I'll let you know is that I will go tomorrow. As Judge, she didn't accept the position. She said she might, if it got back. So I will go and pick up last month's check for 226, I think it is, somewhere around that. I'll go pick it up tomorrow, put it in the bank, and then we'll do the billing for this month. Send it to her tomorrow. So
Okay.
we're getting that 1 month turnaround pretty good. It's cutting
Yes,
away. But, so we're up to, we're keeping up pretty well with everything between Angie and I, so.
Just for, have they said anything about the outstanding 46,000?
No, I've got to go sit down with her and go over it.
Okay, all right.
And that's just been timing between
That's fine.
she and I both. But for cash flow purposes, it would be nice
Yeah.
for the fact that are we going to spend that money? You know, I mean, we're going to outspend it, so.
Just to have it as a buffer.
It would be nice to have any additional on
Yeah.
that. And so I promise, I will get with her this month
Thank
on
you.
it. And that has just been timing, either she's been swamped and I've been off over here, but she wants to sit down and go over it. I've sent her some stuff, but it is a little bit, I know, confusing.
Y'all have done a good job.
So,
Thank you.
well,
Yeah.
welcome to ask
I mean,
me and keep me on my toes, so that's good.
You and Angie, y'all have done well, yes.
I make a motion that we approve the financials as submitted.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, old business. I tell you what, before we start old business, I want to say this, and I want to give you this and put it in the minutes. This is some things that we have compiled that have went on in the last few months, and all good, and things that we want to consider, and we've been working. First thing, placement of meeting times and agendas are on the website. Solicitation of email addresses to use to individually notify people of upcoming meetings, working towards retaining and posting video or audio recordings on meetings, stopping the surveying process, pending consideration of and choosing between at least 3 or 4 alternate routes. We will talk about that tonight. Generally agreeing to hug boundaries of properties where landowners prefer the pipe and not go cross-country. Ensuring every landowner gets not only doorbell notice of surveyors, but also a letter in advance. And we will be working towards establishing 3 additional, we're calling them ex officio members of the board. And we will talk about that a little bit later in the meeting. So I'm going to give this to you if you'll put that in the meetings. Yeah. First thing, has everybody had a chance to look at Rhonda's consulting contract and everything? If there's not any question or anything on that, I would entertain a motion to accept her.
So moved.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I agree.
I was looking for the other duties as assigned in there, but I couldn't find it.
I know.
Sign it.
The duties and son.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
all,
ma'am.
that's part of everything in life, isn't it?
And that's why I always try to include it.
All right, second thing we want to do tonight, let's
That's why it's bugging me.
discuss and approve the letters that are going to be sent out on the water bills concerning the project, very shortly.
I have a statement if you want me to read it.
Yes.
Okay.
Start us off, Mariah.
Yeah, this is just for the board. I got the mayor's approval that this, I'm gonna work with our billing manager, and this will go in Bryant's bills, so anyone else is welcome to put it in their bills as well. It's gonna say the Saline Regional Public Water Authority meets on the fourth Thursday of every month at the Bryant District Court. These meetings are open to the public, and we encourage you to attend and learn more about the regional water project that will help secure a long-term sustainable water future for our community. Your questions, concerns, and feedback are welcome as we work to build a system that serves current and future generations, and then we'll have the website and email on the bottom as well. That'll go out in our monthly bills.
Good deal. Anybody else? Add to?
So y'all are putting that on your bills?
On water bills? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One more question.
Right, if you just send that to me, I'll make sure it gets done.
I said,
I would entertain a motion to approve that letter.
So moved.
Now, that's only for
well,
Brian.
that one's just for Bryant.
All of us, I wrote
Yeah,
that.
it's okay.
I will not be able to put that on my bills due to the fact that the length of that statement will not fit in my messaging. I'll have to condense it
Yeah.
in some form, but that will not be a problem.
Yeah, and
I'll use the cards.
No, it's full print.
Yeah.
It's a full print, but the message area is only so big. It's designed to be, hey, here's a short message to kind of direct you to the website.
Yeah.
I mean,
just
it's
so
not
we're
a.
all on the same wording. David Hagan or
Right.
something, but
It will not be exactly that way, and you're only doing it 1 month?
I don't know yet. No, probably keep it on there.
Oh,
It depends,
Yeah,
we may have to
necessary,
condense
but-
it as well, but no, we'll keep
we
it
do
on.
ours on just a regular sheet of paper, and then stuff it on an envelope, so we have a backside, and so we can put in ours, anything that you need us to suggest, you know. or-
Well, ours is front and back, but when you're showing all the
Yeah.
data that people see, the message center is only so big.
I got you.
And we don't even do ours. It's a third party that does our bills.
Oh,
So-
look, yeah.
Yeah. We will be running it. Water users will be running it.
I don't have a problem
Okay.
doing it. Just
So
to
we'll
be.
put it on the website and we'll put a message, but it's not gonna be that. We don't
Yeah,
have a
it'll be
link,
that exact.
Yeah.
yes.
but we did send out
So
letters.
really, I guess the motion is just to approve her language and for anybody to use it.
As-
Yeah, I don't even need,
Yeah.
know if we need a motion, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think we
I don't
need,
have a problem with that. I just want to be sure it
Yeah,
gets there. you know.
yeah.
I'm okay with that. And next month, we report back. You'll put that in there that we ran it,
Okay.
not doing a motion.
I might get it in,
Information item,
Yeah, ours,
good as an information item and not a motion. And then next month,
Yeah.
put that on our
I can
agenda.
probably get mine now, it goes out next Friday, so.
We'll report on our bills on,
I know you'll probably send that to me email tonight when you arrive.
sure will.
let me stop right here and introduce you to Salem's new general manager, Boyd Beerbaum, if you would, sir, stand up. You'll be taking care of that. And I am so glad to see you, as you know.
Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. If you will, Mr. Boyd, take care of that in the morning. Tell Nikki to get that on those bills and we'll get it out there. And I'll get you a copy of it, so it'll be right. Thank you. Anything else on that before we move on? All right. Report the progress of additions to Saline Watershed website. Mariah.
Bryant's communications manager, Jordan, was able to spend some time on the website today, making the changes that I made even better, so appreciate Jordan's help. You can go on the contact info, all of the board's emails are on there. Minutes and agendas they have a tab of their own. The Tale of Two Cities which is kind of the history of Saline Regional Public Water Authority, is now on there, so people can go and read it, and learn more about how the project even started. And then newsletter sign up as well. You just enter your email and click sign up for newsletter, and it automatically adds them to the Gmail list or whatever, so. It'll add them through our email, our info@srpwaar.gov.
So she won't have to do that?
No.
Anymore? She will not have to go in and look for emails to add and send out agendas?
I think that the form will pop up, and she'll have to just click the email address and add it to the list.
All right, we'll just need to,
Yeah, it's a form that goes to the,
what it might be, just maybe
Gmail.
let somebody, like, if you.
I send her an email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, I'll send her an email.
Yeah, or like you actually get on the website, do it, and see what happens.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
so where we can, okay.
Anything else?
And
No
you're
other-
making great strides in a short period of time.
appreciate it. Yes, we're trying.
All right, what about, report on the letters sent out before surveying begins, right?
You all have a copy in front of you of the survey letter. We've sent, like I said, about 27 or so out. We have not sent any more out until we decide on a corridor.
That's right.
Once we decide on a corridor, we'll be sending them out to the people that will be along the corridor, hopefully. So I'll need some help with that, but
Mm-hmm.
And we can help you with that, that's easy.
yeah. Probably want a motion to adopt this. I mean, I've already sent some out, but probably need to go back and get a motion adopting this as a letter.
I move we adopt this letter for distribution.
Thank you.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. Now,
It really was a good letter.
Thank you.
Really good letter.
yeah. And as y'all know, we need to wait and let my man catch up over here.
I'm trying.
I see that hand trying to write.
He's doing good.
One thing I gotta ask,
Yes, sir.
who made the motion second on Rhonda's contract?
It
I
was,
make,
You made the
motion.
motion.
and it was second by Kim.
Yes. That's what I,
Okay, got it.
Thanks, sir.
I'm up.
you caught up. Good deal. All right, easement committee report, Mariah. We'll spend a few minutes on that. if you want.
Yeah, not a ton to report right now. I mean, we're pretty much paused. We've been in communication with some Hot Spring County folks. I'm still working on that, but again, until we get a corridor, we're kind of at a pause right now. I know there was some talk about wanting to get started on collecting the rest of the Hot Spring County easements, but
Yes.
Vicki and I were in agreement that we better pause completely and make sure that we,
What we
mean-
talked about was holding up till after tonight. We
Yeah.
got a direction tonight. And we-
yeah, we're
We
picking
moved this,
direction.
and I
And we do have the easement acquisition RFP out as well, so.
Yes. And I think we got one response.
That was due today.
Mhm.
Who is,
I know when I talked to Perry this morning, he only had one, but
is it the same one Judge Brumley used?
No.
It's the other one.
no, it was,
I can't remember his name. I'm not familiar with him. But anyway, he got in under the wire. So we'll be looking at him.
oh, that
Very
might be
short.
him then.
All right.
So.
In the easement committee, will y'all be meeting?
We'll meet, I'll set up a meeting date after we decide on a corridor.
Okay, that'll work.
So we're not gonna do anything even with from the intake to the reservoir until we decide on the corridor? Because we already have that and we've already
That's
sent
correct.
out.
We've sent out the letters and I'm gonna
Yes.
contact him after tonight, but I wanted to have a corridor decided before I contacted him again for the entirety of it.
Okay.
Do we know who submitted an RFP?
Yes, but I don't remember his name. I just heard it one time.
When will they do that?
As of today, we've received a couple, one being from,
Oh.
one being from Pinnacle, which is a They also provide their statement of qualifications. We also have another company called Volkert, which we just got.
That's the one.
today.
That's it.
So we're gonna make copies of these and provide these to every member.
I didn't know we had the second one, but that's good. That's the
No,
two.
Vote just today, and Volkert just
Okay.
came in at like 4 o'clock today.
That's what I thought, which is fine. And those were the two that we were looking at. I think Bryant maybe uses one, Judge Brumley used one.
We don't use
And
any of them.
I think they used the other one.
We
our
use-
firm will have copies prepared for both of y'all, all of y'all.
Thank you very much. Good. All right, let me write just a little bit here.
That's legal services.
All right, now, Matt, if you're about ready, let's talk about water line corridors, routing, and new, some of the new stuff we've looked at and come up with. And we're gonna be on this one for a while. That's when we move through everything else. Thanks.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Bear with me. So, I'll just kind of back up and start from the beginning in my thought process here, the layout to give you guys options on how you want to attack this. On this map, you see the terminal storage reservoir is located down in the bottom left-hand corner, that orange L-shaped property. And the water treatment plant site is located up in the top right corner, the property up right off Congo Road, up in Salem. And so the red line is just simply a straight line. It's just, you can see, a straight line from one to the other. So unfortunately, our properties lay in the world with an angle from one another that is just almost 45-degree angle. So it's not convenient for running north and south, east and west along parcel lines. So we got to go east, and we've got to go north, and in fact, the quickest way from A to B is a straight line. So that just gives you a kind of a reference point. You can see there are all the rivers there on the north side of the map. You see the South Fork and the Elm Fork of the Saline River there, snaking down in those bottoms. You can also see right in the middle of the map that gray box. If you can see that, you can see my cursor right here. This gray box is the Arkansas Heritage Commission property, just almost right in the center of where we need to be on a straight line path. You got running from northeast to southwest, the Interstate 30 out here corridor, where we're in almost parallel with that from our two locations. And then here's Highway 70 going to Hot Springs out there, running east and west there. So none of the geometry wants to work in our favor, okay? From the terminal storage reservoir to the water treatment plant. And if you were to extend that red line, it's almost a straight line continually down to the intake by chance. But the area that we're talking about today is between the TSR and the water treatment plant. And so when I started looking at this and trying to consider how to present this to you guys so it made some sense. It made sense to me to kind of break it down into some sections, and so I thought about it in terms of, up to Highway 70, between the terminal storage reservoir up to Highway 70, how we get there and what we do along that corridor, because there's been a lot of talk about that right of way possibly being available for a pipeline installation. And then from Highway 70 north to Highway 5. And Highway 5 is I should have made that darker. It's running right up in this area, right up in here. Okay, and then from Highway 5 to the water treatment plant, it's a short distance, it's like 3 miles. And it's fairly obvious to me where that pipeline needs to go. You can see that when we get up in this area of the map, it's starting to get higher density areas, very residential, much different than it is south of Highway 5. And so the plan all along is to I mean, there's a pretty obvious corridor between Highway 5 and the water treatment plant that is the least, obstructive, way between all the houses. So I kind of looked at it so I kind of set that part aside for this conversation at least. And then, and so I looked at it from the terminal storage reservoir to Highway 5. And so it broke it into 2 parts, up to Highway 70 and then north. So you take that straight line, and then now I've overlaid the alignment or the corridor that we had been studying, and we had been surveying, and we had been engineering between the terminal storage reservoir and the water treatment plant. And this route was developed with 0 parcels on any map. We just working off of the terrain of the land and the direction that we needed to go, and letting the constructability and the terrain and the obstructions and all those things lead us without looking at where property lines exactly are at that point. We just weren't to that point yet. This is the corridor. Eventually we would get to that point, but we have to go survey and find property corners and find out where's the property lines and all this. But we never got that far. But this is the corridor that we were studying right here for reference. Now,
Gotta start somewhere.
sir,
Gotta start somewhere.
right. So that blue line is just there for reference. And so, knowing that we still had a lot of engineering work to do, a lot of recon, a lot of our due diligence to do, and then further knowing that the board had directed us to follow property lines running north and south and east and west, and not cut diagonally off across properties, which is understandable and fine. It's just that was a change. Then, and we also have this Heritage Commission property that's right in the middle of where we're trying to work. You can see it's just right. It just cuts right across the middle of it. And Mariah and I went and met with them, and it went about how you think it'd go.
Yes, sir.
So we didn't get a no, we didn't get a yes, we just got a whole sheet full of obstacles and hurdles that we'd probably have to overcome, which is understandable. But it is what it is, it's right in the way, we got to overcome it somehow. So knowing all those things that we know, all those things I just said, the route is going to turn into looking something like that if we were to keep this route the same. In reality, it's going to look something like that. If you can see that dark blue line, it's going to zigzag, zigzag, zigzag all the way, because parcel lines run north and south and east and west. So if we're not going to cut at a diagonal, we only have 2 options, going east and going north.
Yes.
And so that is a made-up route along the blue line, just as an example of how it's going to look. I went in there and we adjusted the alignments along property lines, thinking that this was what it might look like, just as an example. And you can see I rerouted it around the Arkansas Heritage Commission, and I don't know if that route around that will even work, but for the purposes of this map, I just drew it around it for now. None of this has been vetted, of course. We stopped all of our work along this corridor. But it's going to look something like that. It'll be zigzagged along different parcels probably, but it'll look something like that. That's my point. So, and we also are, the whole time we're doing this, we're also being considerate of the topography And just looking at that, we don't have a problem with it is a gravity flow system from the water treatment plant, but the terminal storage reservoir is located at such a higher elevation that once we come off those hilltops up there on that ridge and we get down to the, I'm gonna say normal elevation of the area, we're good. We're good. We can pretty much take on any topography between here and there and stay below our HGL that we need to stay below. But this gives you an idea of the undulation of the terrain, the more up and down, the more there's going to be difficulty in construction with more jagged things. So that's just another thing to consider. Okay, so I started looking at options that have been discussed over the last several meetings. And so one option that we talked about is to again, our end point is still the same, terminal storage reservoir, coming out of this storage reservoir and going due east over to the interstate. And I'm still showing this as a planned corridor. It has to be, everyone has to understand, it has to be a planned corridor. It can't be a line.
Right.
It's not gonna be a straight line. So I'm just saying somewhere in that corridor, we can study and try to, go back to my blue line example, zigzag, zigzag. We have people, we're gonna have obstacles in the way, we're gonna have structures in the way, we're gonna have landowners who won't cooperate, we're gonna have this and that and this and that, and we'll just have to manage our way through a corridor. Okay, so all these options I'm gonna show you are still a corridor. Like Mariah said, we're choosing a corridor, not in alignment. It won't be in alignment until the very end.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of the beast. So this gets us out to the interstate, and that does have some advantages that have been discussed. If we get out to the interstate out here, you could follow it for 1.8 miles along the backside of that interstate right of way, all the way up to the interchange there where Highway 70 ties into Interstate 30. And that'd be possibly, it's public right of way that we're not on, but we would be parallel and adjacent to, that could be viewed as more tolerant to the public. It's an opinion. That land does look fairly usable. There doesn't appear to be any utilities or other obstacles there. It's all wooded. There's no service road there. So it's just highway right away, and I'm just saying we could be right on parallel up, okay? Which would be on the back of those folks' property, because the properties along that interstate, they're facing a road the opposite direction. The interstate's in their backyard, right? So possibly that would be viewed as less impactful to the public. Okay, just an option.
All right.
And I have a lot of these, so I named them. I just named that one A for the first. Sure, and we'll come back to it. Okay, so we could also, you can pick a path. So just for example, I just picked another one in B, and so instead of coming out to the interstate, we come out of the terminal storage reservoir. It's still a corridor. It's not a line. If I put a line on here, then it's not flexible.
It's not all good.
It has to be corridor. So we could choose this path of landowners to try to get across and find our way up to Highway 70, the same location I just showed the other one to stop at, and trudge through all these parcels down here. The topography looks like it's doable to do that. But there's still lots of houses and barns and ponds and things in the way, the topography we got to deal with, but something like that. Again, same thing, parcels are running this way, and we're trying to go this way.
Yep.
So that's an option. We'll come back to it. So another option that has been discussed quite a bit is going out to Highway 70 and following Highway 70 right away. Whether we're able to be on the right of way, which has been brought up as a possibility, or we're outside of the right of way and adjacent to the right of way. If we're in the right of way, obviously that would require easements, right? If RDOT would agree to let us do that. Now, Jason, Todd and I have had some email correspondence back and forth over the last couple weeks with
Richard.
with RDOT, utilities right of ways. And I sent him some maps and asked him a bunch of questions, and he finally just wrote back and said, we want to meet. He said, we'd like for you to come meet, talk about this. And so we stopped and we need to set that meeting. Maybe Todd's going to keep on going with me to find out if there's an opportunity. I'm sure they'll have the right of way drawings. We can get down to business to see if there is an opportunity to be in the right of way. They'll be the guys that build it to us. If not, then we can still be outside the right of way, but adjacent to the right of way. And again, that might be viewed as less impactful to the landowners. That's an opinion. So it is following existing right of way. And if we could pop out there somewhere around Fairplay Road, you're talking about over 4 miles of right of way that we could parallel down through that area. Okay, so it's all clear so far. Keep going. So that's that. I mean, getting out to Highway 70, it could be part of A, part of B, and part of C. I mean, you kind of just pick, which path of parcels. There are no public right-of-ways or no obvious right-of-ways from the terminal storage reservoir to Highway 70. There's just not. There's private land all around it. There's some old railroad tracks that run east and west that parallel Highway 70, but those are more north. They don't come down to our property. So we got to get across some parcels of land to get to Highway 70, to utilize Highway 70 in this option. So what, some kind of option here between. Come on, stop. So to Highway 70. Now, from Highway 70 north to Highway 5, there was an option that was brought forth about an old telephone right-of-way that was abandoned in, I think, the 1980s, and is still on record. And we should evaluate that. And so we looked at that, and this is this orange color that you see here. It comes down here off the interstate, this area, comes up, turns and runs at the perfect angle for us.
Yeah.
Really?
Running at the perfect angle, but it crisscrosses right across the middle of that heritage property. I zigzagged it around there, but it goes straight across that, all the way up to here. And while that might be an old abandoned right-of-way, there is very little evidence in the field that there's anything there at all. A few places here or there, if you look from aerial photography, you can see a thinner patch of woods, like the trees are just not quite as old. So you can kind of see what a feathered shape of what there might have been a corridor there. But there's houses built on it, there's ponds on it, it goes up and down and up and down, up and down, just like everything else. It also cuts directly across catty corner of every one of those parcels that we've got to cross. And we'd still have to get all the same easements we would have to get with the blue line or any line we chose. So it's going to end up looking like a zigzag up that path as well. There's no, I see no benefit personally in that right of way. There's no construction benefit. I don't see how a landowner would know the difference. It's a, we would still be crossing, either we're gonna cross at a path of the old right-of-way, which is not really anything, or which is crossing their property diagonally, which you guys have decided not to, didn't want to do. So then we're just back to zigzagging up that orange path. So that is an option, so we can continue to study further. But it's still a corridor, and it just runs really close to the corridor that we were in. It's just, you know, whatever, 80 acres to the east of where we were working.
You talking about zigzagging the pipeline too, instead of just running it?
They have to.
Well, if we're not, if we're gonna stay on property lines, we're gonna have to zigzag.
That's not, with that many 90s in there, that's not feasible.
It's not ideal, I would say.
Costly, how much each one of those 90s cost? 50,000, 30,
$15,000 a piece.
15,000?
Yeah, and they're, you know, they're big as a Volkswagen. I mean, they're this big.
Go ahead, man.
A big pipe. It's not ideal, okay? But I'm throwing everything out here on the table to talk about.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so another option that, that has been brought up is we should just again, trying to follow existing right-of-ways. I've heard you guys tell me to look at that loud and clear.
Yeah.
There is not a lot of existing right-of-ways in this study, in our corridor. There's just not. There's none running east and west, in the diagonal direction we need. We do have the highway that's running east and west, the interstate. But there is an Entergy power line, and we may have talked about this last meeting. I know I talked to some of y'all.
It was mentioned, yes.
Their Entergy does have a power line down here. I may have to zoom in a little bit to show you a little bit better. So Entergy does have a power line running, oh, see my Buc-ee's symbol right there? I figure everybody knows where Buc-ee's is gonna go. There's the Buc-ee's symbol right there. So everybody has a reference. So Entergy has this red dash line is a high voltage transmission line the Entergy has, and it runs, I think it's fairly new. I mean, y'all probably know better than me. I don't think it's that old.
It's about 10 years old.
She said about 10 years old, man.
So this crosses the interstate, and it runs north, and it's running right across these bottoms, all in the floodplain, all the way across these bottoms, and it comes and does a little zigzag down here, and it turns, and it crosses the Saline River right here, and it turns and which we got to cross Saline River, of course, and it crosses Highway 5 just west of Riverside Grocery.
Okay.
If to give you a reference there. So if we could get from Highway 70 through one of the options we discussed and trudge through this short area here that is in green, which it's a corridor, it may be tough to get through there. If we could get to that power line down here in these in these river bottoms down here, we get at 3.6 miles along Entergy's right of way.
Wow. Question?
Yep.
You know, we spent 3 years dealing with Entergy on 3.7 acres, what it bought. So will we have to do that again
Yes.
if we go?
I'm just being honest with you.
I know, I appreciate that about you.
I will tell you this. Ted.
My name is Jason, Ted, Todd.
Todd and I were talking about this option, and so he emailed some of his contacts over at transmission, and I don't think he even told them where it is. He just said, hey.
No, I told them which line. I told them along that, they know that line. I told them from which substation to which substation. They know that line.
He said, can we get in your right away? You know, just open door. And they passed it around a couple times to some of the different people, and finally it got insured.
Oh God.
Oh, wow.
Now,
We're not in the right of way.
I get it, I get it.
We have to be 50 feet from it's 100-foot wide right of way,
yep,
okay? The structures are dead center, so you have 50 feet, and he said you need to be 50 feet from my structure. So, but we could run on the right of way. Basically, it would reduce us from having to get a 50-foot wide easement to a 35-foot easement. I'm talking with Matt, because,
we can reduce the easement width,
Yeah.
and again, it could be deemed as more favorable to the
that's right.
landowners, because it's already a power line there.
But
And
they,
now, oh, by the way, it's in the floodplain. And oh, by the way, there's nothing down there.
Another question,
Yes.
how does ductile iron work in a flood? It's flooded part of the year, dry part of the year maybe, so how does ductile iron work?
It's okay, it's fine.
it's fine.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, people have to do it. You got lines in the floodplain, right?
Yeah.
PVC is not dependable in a floodplain, so, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, go ahead.
Now, do I think that we should just celebrate because they send that email and just
Yeah.
forth?
There you go.
No, I do not.
I'm gonna say I got an email from an operations person,
Right.
not a lawyer, or
My experience,
not to pick on lawyers.
I've tried to do this before.
With General Energy's lawyers, I will,
Because they have a bunch of them.
Tell you, 4 at a time.
My experience is that it will be a struggle to get them to let us do that. The guy told us, was an operations guy, and he said yes, but he don't get permits.
Okay, what's right outside that 35 feet? Is there any structures right by that power
No,
line?
it looks really, it looks good. I mean,
I'm gonna tell you, along that power line, if you're right on the right of way line even, I think it's low, it's bottom land. The key is getting to it. That's gonna be the hard part.
Yeah.
Getting through that area.
right.
That's gonna be the difficult part.
So that's an option. We can-
you're using
Yeah.
tracked vehicles.
Yep, so that's an option. Okay, so another option is say, well, forget all this, we'll just swing around the north side. And so you say, we'll just come out of the reservoir, come north, cross Highway 70, and come up here and then go east. And the good thing about that is at least we're going east and west, and we can gain advantage of following a parcel line.
Yeah.
On the same pattern.
Don't see a lot of structures in there.
Right, it looks like bigger parcels and, obviously less development. I mean, you see all the development down here that we have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And this up here is less developed.
Yeah.
But it is an option that can be looked at. You can tell it's a lot more length of pipe. The other big negative to this is, it goes nowhere near Benton's intake. And we've got to deliver water to Benton's intake on the way to the water plant. So if for this option, it would have to swing all the way around to here and then, then maybe follow that power line back down to Benton's intake. And and on that point, I should mention, on this option, I'm going back to the previous option now. On this option, what happened? I'm sorry, guys. One advantage to this option here is if we are able to get over to this power line easement along this route over here, it goes right by Benton's intake. It goes right by Benton's intake, and I mean the spur I always call it spur. The Benton spur would just be, it's less than half a mile as we go across here. So that's a big, I'm thinking advantage to that option.
You're over halfway there, if we can get, because that's critical on our startup,
Yep,
get that water there.
right. So, going back to this other option, what I was saying is, we could follow all the way around, and then, if this option were considered, then we'd maybe follow that pipeline back down to Benton's intake. This is the way I looked at that. Because we have to have a direct connection to Benton's water plant with raw water pipeline.
No 90s in that line,
Right.
got my attention.
Well,
That going up north and all there,
It's still a corridor, it's still a corridor, and, there's still, it's not going to probably end up being a straight line. We try to make it a straight line, but.
I get it.
So, it's kind of like, we've got to get from here to here. And between here and here is this area, and somehow, some way, we got to get across there. So you could pick, you start picking, in the route that we end up to be one combination of one or the other of these, of course. And so I started looking at combinations that you could do. So you could do, for example, A1 would be an option that you could build that, it's a common point in my presentation. You could choose A, that gets you there, and then 1. That's an option. And you kind of look at and I've got ground surface elevation data for each one of these to kind of look at that. That's less important. It's more important in my office. But or you could do A2. So A2 would be over to the interstate, and then follow over here to the transmission pipeline. An option. Then you could probably guess where I'm going with this.
Mm-hmm.
You could do B1, you could do this option and follow this option up here. Or you could go back to some variance of what we were using. Or we could just go back to what we were using. That's all, the blue, you see I left the blue on there the whole time. That's still an option.
All right.
But you could do B1, yes sir.
Somewhere in here, I know you probably got some more numbers.
And we'll get to that.
All right, I'm sorry.
So B1. And so you could do B2, come across here, and it's a pretty straight line across here, then get on 2 and go north on this transmission line again. And one thing I will say one thing that shows on this elevation data is you can really see on the options that get on that transmission line, how it gets over on those bottoms and just rides in those bottoms. Probably really good digging down there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, down in those bottoms.
No easements.
Sir?
I said, and not a lot of easements.
Well, there'll still
I
be,
know there'll be some.
there'll be some easements
I
still.
understand that.
Or you do C1, which is coming up here, getting on Highway 70 and following it across, and then taking that old telephone pipeline north. That's an option. Or you could, this is so slow. Or you could look at C2. And this would maximize the amount of pipeline that's along the right of way. Why are you laughing?
We get the point, I think.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We appreciate it, but I want to see some numbers.
Go back to the swamp.
I ain't worried about the swamp. Because,
Go back to
the what?
That's what I call it, that route you were talking about. Picking up, gas company and coming through the, coming to Benton.
well, I'm sorry, Dickie, what do you?
Gas company, I'm a,
The gas company?
He's talking about Blackview.
The right of way. You're gonna pick up that 35-foot easement if you use.
That Entergy.
Energy, I'm sorry, and then, tied to, come to Riverside, wasn't that what you were saying?
Yeah, it would start down here, down here on the south end, and it would lead us all the way up to Riverside Grocery,
That's
just
it.
west of
That's
Riverside
it.
Grocery and Highway 5. It goes all the way across, and it keeps going.
Yeah.
After it keeps going, though, it kind of gets, it doesn't do as much good because it turns.
that transmission line actually ends up back in the center of Benton.
Yeah,
It goes back to the Flindall, water tank.
you can see
That goes back to the north,
it zigzags.
our
all
north
over.
substation.
Yeah. So once it gets to Highway 5, it kind of loses its
I mean,
charm.
if they let us in it, the whole way, it would be perfect.
Yeah.
It would be great, but they're not going to.
But even if they, and I think we ought to plan on not being in it, because
Yeah.
been there, done that.
Yeah,
If even we're not in it, it's still
yeah.
an undisturbed or
Yes,
undeveloped area
yes.
that already has a
That's what I like.
transmission.
No.
I agree.
And it's, if we had time, I could show you. You look at the aerial imagery, it's just,
No kidding.
yeah, up to the north, and then it starts getting wooded somewhere up in this area. There's some, what looks like some tree farms.
The hardest part is getting to it through that area when you're getting
Access
near
roads.
Centennial Valley, Heritage Heights, that area through there is just, it's high density in some of those areas. There's gonna be some issues.
And you can look at the profiles, this doesn't show you much, but you can see how some of these are longer, so they string out longer than others. Some of them get down lower in the bottoms, like C2, you can see it really gets down here in these lower elevations. Some of them stay up higher, and those are the ones that are cutting across, and those, staying up more to the north. It's more upland highlands kind of area,
Okay.
uplands timber. And so if you look at all the obvious things that that Todd's getting at, that he wants to know. What I did is, and so I for all those, just these options, I wrote them down. And I left that proposed route, calling it the proposed route, because that's what we're using, the baby blue corridor.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, look at A1, A2, B1, B2, and then D. I called that north one the D route, just for, and there may be some maybe somewhere in between. But if you just look at these based on those combinations, there's not a lot of difference, to be quite honest. Once we went in and we took our straight line across to the north and we zigzagged it across there, that added a bunch of pipe. And it added a lot of cost. And so, you can look at our length of, and these numbers are just kind of for this study purpose, you know what I mean, for tonight, to compare all these. So I looked at about how many easements are on that corridor that we would cross. You don't know, you can't say exactly, because if we haven't been out and studied the area yet.
Right.
Okay, question?
No.
Oh.
No.
So I tried to estimate, we tried to estimate of all as best we could, how many parcels, or how many easements it would be approximately going for each one of these routes. And then the length of each one of those routes. Again, not knowing, it's an estimate, not knowing how much of this we're gonna do. Zigzag, zigzag. Some of it is gonna be that way, so it's not an exact science. because we don't know an alignment, you know. It's not gonna be, we know it's not gonna be a diagonal, but we don't know how many straight runs we're gonna get before we gotta turn, and all those things have gotta develop through the engineering design process. But I tried to make an estimate on it, and you can see that, and then I said, well, okay, this one has this many easements, is this long, and so average length, based on these numbers, length of pipe per easement, pretty, you know, big lengths of pipe per easement, pretty big tracks out there. And then the construction cost, and honestly, within the margin of error of what I'm doing here, these are all the same, except the bottom one.
Really?
It's, yeah, I mean, the only way that these, could, you know, without doing a detailed study of each one of the routes, you know, it just builds on assumptions. It's the only way I can present something to you is to, you know, to work off from some assumptions. Because we don't have a detailed alignment for each route, knowing the exact number of cost for each route. So it's built on some assumptions. And based on that, I have an estimated construction cost, and you can see they range from $40 to $42 million for these. And that west loop spur that goes way up north and swings around it's a lot longer, and it's got the problem with the Benton spur.
Did you include that in there?
It's even longer.
Did you include that in that estimate? Okay.
And then the easement cost is based on what we are planning to pay the landowners per linear foot. I think it was $7.
$840.
$840.
Change, yeah.
$840 a linear foot. So if it's simple calculation, take that, multiply by the length, and it's, you know, it's all about the same. So, I mean, I can't tell you that the one route here is better than the other from a cost standpoint. I think they're all about the same. So I think, you know, other factors, you know, need to be considered by the board, you know, right away, possible areas to get on the right away.
If they're all about the same, it shouldn't take long to decide which way we're going, you know.
Sir?
I said, if they're all about the same, the cost, it shouldn't take, we'll go the route that disturbs the least amount of people.
That's the way I see it.
That's,
There's not one that, after we took the straight line out of it and we kinked it with the zigzag parsley lines, the route we were choosing is not really much better than these other routes.
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I can't say that it is.
That's one thing I remember we told you, when you said there was several directions we could go, and the board said cheapest, shortest, and you said straight line. Straight as possible.
Straight as we could.
Straight as we could. So we're still kind of doing that, but we
It's just part of it.
moved on. Right.
Well, with which option?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the takeaway to me of this table is there, except for the D, that north loop, they're all somewhat similar, you know.
I like that.
They're
First thing
not-
we've got to consider is going to Benton. We've got to get to Benton. So that'll narrow it down a little more. Take bunch of them out.
Well, I'd assume that all these, all of them would get, that we had the spur, they'd just be.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah,
But the shortest, quickest one.
but that one, the option number 2, I think, goes, I mean, it just swings right by Benton.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, if you don't mind, Dickie, you might want to explain why getting to Benton first, because it may have not been a part of those discussions. They might be like, well, why is Benton special?
The reason Benton is exciting, when we get our money way back there, we can get water to Benton, untreated water, before any of us get anything. They can be paying on their water before us, and it'll make it a lot better. ANRC liked that very well on our loans. So when we start this line, when we come up, we'll be bringing untreated water to Benton before we go on with the rest of it. That makes sense? So we have revenue. That way we got revenue coming in to keep our loans extended and going out. We'll talk about that more in a minute.
It's part of the financial strategy.
It's a big part of the financial.
Yeah.
I will say this, something I failed to mention, it's obvious, but I just didn't say it. This route number 2 here, it avoids this Arkansas Heritage Commission property completely.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. I like that.
Yeah, you too.
Which I think we're gonna have to avoid it completely anyway, but it's not, it goes right around it. You know, it's not even in the, it's not even, not in the way anymore. Not a question. Sir?
That's all right.
But we just wait
Yeah.
for public comment.
We're gonna wait till the end if you don't, and we're gonna finish this thing real quick, but I appreciate you. Thank you. Hold that thought. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I've got.
okay. And then when they ask questions in a minute, maybe bring out something we didn't see.
Yeah.
Any more questions from the board on this, what Matt's presenting? And so my next question is, where do we go from here? After the board approves, and I'm probably not going to call for a vote until we get to the end of it. We'll still be in.
We can't call to a vote until we have more information. It will not be this month.
That first part down there, you got to.
Yeah, that's correct. That first part, we need to know about the highway right-of-way, and we have not met with the highway at this moment. Matt has not met with the
I
highway about.
just assumed that we would not be on the highway right away, and we would not be on Entergy right away.
Highway 70, you know, there is a good chance you might could get in on some of that. And I think we've got to know, you know, before you can actually.
Well, I mean, that's one way of looking at it, but I mean, you could also say, well, even if we're not in it, if we're parallel to it,
Oh, I agree.
it still could be
I agree.
a better option than not being, you know, than going cross-country.
Yeah. But,
And we have to have some sort of direction before you go in there pinning it down, so we can notify people. So that's a,
Yeah, I mean, I would think that when and whenever that happens, that you guys, you know, a route is chosen, then we can go back to work. And we start with
we need to be back to work.
the landowners, the notifications to landowners,
Yes, sir.
and everything y'all talk
For
about.
survey.
well, to me, if we knew if we could get in the 70 right of way, that would answer a lot of questions. I mean, because I know in places they have more than what they need.
Sure.
We pick a preferred route to explore? Is that what you need?
Not a bad
But
question.
there's,
We
that's,
can't go to work until we have direction.
yeah,
Yeah.
he needs direction before,
And you don't want to vote on a route tonight?
not till I know,
About the first part,
yeah. I mean, there's no reason to,
how long would it take to get that?
because what if we get away from that?
You get what?
To get through this first part, find a route through there to start this other one, to hook to the one we're talking about.
I don't know if I understand.
Okay, let me rephrase that. How long will it take you to put another route together to bring that vibe in? Get this first part done that you said has to be figured out before we can pick up the old lines. I keep saying come through the swamp, that's the part I like, so I go back to that. So how long does it take to fix that first part to get to that, get it lined out?
Well, I guess you just need to decide if you want to follow the Highway 70 corridor, if you want to follow this Entergy power line, and then we continue with those discussions with RDOT and with Entergy further, as we get some answers.
I think that there's,
Obviously, we're going to do
I think
that.
there are multiple things that they need to do. And they actually, you know, if we choose them right, they'll interconnect in the end. But I think he's hit the nail on the head. We need to nail down with RDOT on Highway 70 and where that comes in, if we can get it on their right of way or if it's just adjacent to it. And we need to find out from Entergy, you know, what the possibility is of going across through there. If they may just say, no, you know.
Oh, I expect it.
And So then it changes,
Sure. By the next meeting in June, could we expect that?
We have an answer from MARDOT
From RDOT and maybe some more on that?
and from Entergy.
I know, I've been there.
I mean, we can put.
I'm gonna say this, the Entergy line, you will not be in there right away.
yeah,
You will not,
Yeah.
but you can be on that line, which eliminates. That's your own line. That's what I'm not worried about.
It's on the Entergy,
I'm not worried about the
just striking their
the 70.
outside right away of their line.
Okay.
And so we don't have to get as much easement from
That's right.
landowner.
Yes.
We can absolutely use their right of way for construction laydown area.
that's it.
But we've done that all over.
Yeah.
So again, you know, I'm back to, we gotta find out RDOT about the 70 corridor.
Yeah.
And we gotta find out from Entergy, their first response, you know, on their corridor. And so we have an idea, okay, what can we count on? Yeah.
Right, yeah, and we've already had some back and forth with RDOT,
Yeah.
and now he's asked for a meeting, and
Yeah.
we'll set that up and go meet with them and see what
Yeah.
they say. They
And
got
then-
all the right-of-way drawings, they know how much right-of-way they got, obviously, so
All right,
we can just see play our hand and see if they'll, what they'll say.
That north corridor D, I think you called it,
Yeah.
I liked it until I saw the price tag on it. That's like almost 20%.
Did you include the 3 river crossings?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that. Another reason that's more expensive is because that, it actually only adds one more. It adds an additional river crossing.
Yeah.
So we don't, in that, if I could ever get back to it, in option D,
Yeah.
so it adds river crossing here on the South Fork.
Yeah.
It adds river crossing here on the Allen Fork. And they're smaller streams, but they're still, at that point, they're smaller, but it's still a river crossing that we have to deal with. But we don't have to cross the main channel of the Saline River down here. We come in,
Oh,
we come in north of it. So
okay.
that's one river crossing. And I include that in the cost estimate.
Going back to my intake,
Get back to your intake is not
thank
good.
you.
you gotta have another river crossing.
We're starting to build a circle.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we would have to have another river crossing.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, so, yeah, you're right. So the price would actually be more because I did not include that. I included the line work cost, but I did not include that river crossing. So it'd even be more.
So D's pretty much out.
Or at that point, we're backtracking, we're pumping back south.
Yeah. And you're more than 20%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
At this juncture, I would say D is pretty well dead.
All right.
Well, I just want
We're having problems getting the money that we got need. I mean, you know, getting the
Can we
money together.
Send this out, and I like this map. Can you send this map out, and then next meeting we vote on it? Or do we need to, do we vote on it the next meeting? And have meetings in between? And have discussions in between with RDOT and those?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure, I
Yeah.
can email this out to everybody tomorrow.
yeah.
Good.
And you can look at, download it.
That one right there.
Whatever. But if there's another route that you think is, I'm missing, that needs to be evaluated, you know, they're, over here, there's a railroad running over here way further east of the interstate, but there's just not a lot of utilities running. There's no high line transmission lines running in this directions. There's no gas right-of-way pipelines running in this direction. There's just not something that we can tag on to
Yeah.
and get through there, so.
You know, Rock Island Railroad is on the other side of the interstate even from
Yeah.
where it doesn't even. Yeah.
All right, we have a direction, right?
But we could, so the direction is to get with RDOT, which we'll absolutely do.
Like you
and,
said, get the other meetings, get all that done before the
Yeah.
next meeting, and we need to have something to look at all the way to bed.
During mass discussion and that coming up, he said, well, do you want to go? And I said, well, I think that needs to be a board decision. I think a board member needs to be with him when he's meeting with RDOT, but
No question.
I didn't want to just volunteer myself because I don't think that's appropriate. If somebody else wants to go, I'm good with that. Either way, I know Richard just because we do a lot of work. You probably know Richard too. It's just because of our work. But either way, I
It
mean,
would be good.
That's all right with me. And let me say this, when we were dealing with them back there, if it hadn't been for our politicians, we would still be sitting there. I know you remember. I went to every one of them. It is an ordeal. So, no, I don't have a problem. Anybody have a problem with Todd going with?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Right, you okay with that?
But, we do not need to have more than one board member, because then you're required to all this other stuff, so.
You
We need to get out of it.
Number.
We need to get out of that
We'll try
habit.
to outnumber.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to get in the habit after August of just being one board member. Trust me.
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Anything else on this? And we'll come back in a minute. Anything else in old business? I don't know of anything. Do y'all? Thought I had something, I don't remember. All right, new business. We had talked last month about three new board committee people or whatever, and it was mentioned about giving them voting rights. I would speak against that because we have laws and things in place. Our voting members,
As you say, I don't think state law will allow us to do that.
they pay 25 cents. We've got two more people possibly coming on the board. If they get to join, they'll pay their 25-cent money and catch up where we are. So, but I wouldn't be opposed to three people, and we could refer to them. They're welcome to come to any meetings, everything we go to, whatever. Spoke briefly with Judge Brumley about it. I'll talk with him again. But they would be ex officio members of the board. They just wouldn't be voting.
Yeah.
So we can table that till we find out a little more about it if you want to, and I'll get back with Judge Brumley.
I think we should.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all. Anything else in new business? We miss anything? If not, let's go to the public comment, and if y'all would come up, ask your questions, whatever, maybe bring up something that would help us would be great. I don't care what it is. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, come on.
Hi, Neil. First of all, thank you for that presentation. We are 100% in favor of the transmission line. I know there are some people who probably aren't, but as for me, and I'll just be honest here and above board, I do not personally own a single piece of property that is not touched by this thing, and it's multiple pieces of property.
Really?
Yeah. Every single piece of property I own on Peeler Bend Road is touched by this line. It goes across every last one of them, including my house.
Oh, no.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
not coming through that house, I can tell you.
Well, it cuts me off from 229 on the front end with the Benton line. It cuts me off across there. It cuts me off every single property. If you look at the original line, I am completely cut off from Highway 229 at that point. If you go further down Peeler Bend, it cuts diagonally across our bull pasture, cuts between the farmhouse, our barns, our workshop, our everything continues up that line and cuts us all the way down till you get to the Joneses' property and then crosses onto them. I
Matt?
do not own anything that this thing doesn't go on. Having said that, I know there's some people that don't want it on the transmission lines just because they've already got stuff on there. It is floodplain, or it's not being used for anything else.
Right.
We've already got it. And my other thought about that is, at least where the Buc-ee's is, behind that, it's all city property, and they want the line anyway. They're not gonna give you too much problem about putting that thing on city property, because they want it. So why not? And I'm not gonna put up too much of a fight about it, because we already got a transmission line on it. I don't care if you
Yeah.
put something else there. Take a little more. I don't care.
You said on Taylor Bend, well, they cut you off at 229.
229.
It's not gonna happen.
Don't do that.
Well, it cut you off at 229. Are you on the west side of 229 or
We're
the
the
east
horse
side?
farm.
Huh?
We're the horse farm. We're on the corner of 229 and Peeler Bend. And we
Okay,
own
I know
both
where
sides,
that is.
and we own both sides of the road.
okay.
And it's literally coming, if you look at the first one, it comes off the WMA.
Because the transmission line crosses Thomas, is on Thomas property
And
currently.
then us,
And then y'all.
and then us. Yeah,
Okay, it must jump over.
yeah, it does,
Thomas property is to the east
Correct.
of the transmission line?
yeah.
Okay,
We're on the other side,
okay, because he's on the south side,
yes.
yeah.
While we're
Okay.
putting this together, ma'am, would you work with Matt on that?
I'd love
Give
to.
him your number and let us
Yes.
talk about what we can do and can't do. And I promise you, we'll do all we can do.
Now, just to keep you honest,
We're looking for an easement acquisition person. You interested?
do what?
We're looking for an easement acquisition person.
You should
Absolutely.
have been here by 4 o'clock.
Does that mean,
Sorry.
isn't that a conflict of interest?
No,
No?
Yes.
I'll
go ahead.
volunteer. I will absolutely volunteer.
Good. Yes, ma'am.
But just to keep y'all honest now. First of all, I did appreciate some additions to the website. I have not seen it today, but what I have seen is the original corridor, which is fine, but if we're looking at alternate routes, those alternate routes need to
We're
be
gonna
on the
replace, I'll
website.
replace it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
Oh, that'd be.
That's because when I looked at it,
Yeah.
then I had to try to blow it up, and once you blew it
Yeah.
up, it was completely
impossible.
blurry, and you can't
Yeah.
tell where it is, and I was like, well, this is
Yeah, it's
not real
I'll make sure to upload.
clear where this is gonna go. So yeah, if we could upload all these options,
Yeah. Will you
I know
send
that's a lot of work, but it
No,
would
it's
be
worth
really
it.
helpful.
Will you send me the file?
Send that to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
It actually helps with our collaboration as well.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
something else. Let me butt in 1 second. All these pictures we're looking at, you put those on paper where these people affected and all can see that?
It's just a corridor.
It's just a
I
corridor.
understand that.
We got it.
Put it on the website. Let's put it on the website.
All right.
Yeah, she's gonna put it on the website.
Let's put it on the website.
However, now I'm gonna call you on the carpet just a little bit. Because a few days ago, and we sat here tonight and said, we've called it all off. We're not doing any surveying. We're not doing anything at all. But there was a Chris Engineers van on Peeler Bend Road not a few days ago looking for a place to fly a drone for this water line because they were told they can't be on anybody's property. So now they're gonna fly drones over it. Wait a minute.
He did it, he did it.
Yeah.
He got stopped. He didn't fly any drones.
Okay. Because that was just a couple days ago, so somehow somebody didn't
No,
get the,
that was last week.
yeah, it was. It was last, well, I mean, they all run together when you're losing sleep over
But
this thing.
he did not.
Okay, so he got the memo. It was just like some random person that didn't quite get the memo, but I thought,
He did not fly a drone. He did not.
Okay.
He was out there. I do agree. I do know that.
I'm just keeping it honest.
Not a problem.
Anyway, that is, the only other thing I would say is I heard y'all say when you were meeting with RDOT and somebody brought up lean on your politicians. Lean on your politicians.
Me.
That was actually, I don't think it was for RDOT, that was for
It
Entergy.
wasn't for all.
It was for Entergy.
Or Entergy.
When we dealt with
Entergy.
all of them,
Yeah,
we would not be here today without those politicians.
exactly.
They made them listen. We couldn't.
Right.
We were out.
And they won't.
No, they will.
But we have politicians involved
Yes.
in this who care very much, who are personally touched by this, who
Yes.
would go to
Yes.
the ends of the earth
Believe you
to
me.
make RDOT and Entergy listen.
Yes, ma'am. Believe you me, I'm quite fond of them, and I talk to them regular, and I will call them. When they tell me they're at a stopping point, that's where I'll be.
Okay.
But
Very good.
thank you.
That's all I have to say. Thank you for the presentation, and my vote is for number 2 then.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we gotta get to number 2.
That's just a portion of it.
There you go, that's what I like right there.
Number A, B, C.
Okay, what
The original.
C.
C, well, we need C then.
Get your code over to 70 the fastest is what it does.
Yes, sir. How about you?
You can't make everybody happy, I do understand that. Look, we're not opposed to this, everybody needs to work.
Thank you.
So, but I want to know, I got to clarify something. I heard 35 foot.
Yes.
It's 50 feet total, but if you are able to put the water line right on the right of way of the transmission line, which puts me 50 foot from their structure, because that's what they said, is you have to be 50 feet from their structure. Okay? So you're putting that water line right on it, that eliminates 15 feet. That's where that came from. I did that math real. Yeah. That's what, so then we're getting 35 feet because we're putting that water line right on their right of way. That's, according to the email, they said that we could work with you on that. That's where that came from.
And that wouldn't apply to every easement?
No. No, those are on right of ways where we're able to be on the right of way. Because one of our concerns with being inside the right-of-way of RDOT, now, it's a major concern because of what we've dealt with in the past, is once you get in, if you say, yes, I'll be in your right-of-way, and they say, by the way, we need you out of that right-of-way, it's at 100% of your expense to move that line. We do not get reimbursed for that. If it's outside of the right-of-way and they encroach on you, then they have to pay us to move that. So that then helps our ratepayers long term. And I can tell you, Highway 5 has been, here, let's move it. Here, let's move it again. Here, let's move it again. And we've learned our lessons with putting things in RDOT right away because of that.
And that corridor has a lot of potential for growth, obviously.
Yes.
The other thing that should be thought about is if we, say we were to be able to do option C and get down to the Highway 70, and we were able to get inside that right of way for 4 miles. If that's the case, we would have a gap in our easement for future pipeline for the section that's along Highway 70.
Yeah,
We'd be getting a 50-foot right-of-way everywhere else,
I see.
but we would not have a right-of-way for the future pipeline along Highway 70.
But if we can at least work from the 70 existing right-of-way, like I say, we're saving, just like you said, at least that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just something, and maybe we can be right on the right of way. And I've talked with Judge Brumlin previously. My understanding is the county has a 20-foot setback for any development of buildings. So if we're right outside the right of way, the county already supposedly has a 20-foot setback that you're not supposed to build. So then maybe we're affecting less. That's,
And let me say this, when we started this thing way back there, we talked about 35, maybe 40 feet. And so when we started looking, the lines that are already in are going back now, putting in pipelines, and they're having to add 10 to 12, 15 feet maybe to the one they've already got. And there's houses there. It's a nightmare. And there will be another line coming to Benton again. We're set up, there's going to be 2 lines coming out of the river. So sometime in the future, there will be another 3-footer coming.
And honestly, we really need 50 feet to work.
Yes.
Yeah, and to get that done,
Just that
we
size.
talked to them, they're working on, when they're trying to expand those lines. He said if we'd got 50, it would've been done forever. That's why we went there. But it's a good question. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
My name is Chris Hawkins. I'm from the Maples HOA, which is the subdivision just to the south of the plant. So I just had
I'm sorry, south of,
the water treatment plant.
oh, okay, in Salem, out by the Salem Dairy Bar.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
So I had a few questions in reference to that.
Sure.
So right behind our property, or behind the subdivision, is a 30-foot water line corridor. I guess that's what you were speaking on earlier. What should we expect? What should we expect from that, as far as what it looks like? Is there going to be construction there where that's dug up? I can show you a picture.
Okay.
You want-
Sure, I mean, if you,
Yeah, I've got it right here.
on the line, the north of your subdivision,
Correct, yes, sir. So there's a 100.
well, this is a picture of our drawings.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, that's,
And that's our subdivision right there.
Right.
30-foot water line corridor.
right.
What should we expect? Is there, you're gonna dig up those trees and then,
Yeah, it'll be a clear path for pipeline.
got it. And you guys, I guess, will maintain that, or will that?
That's on our property.
Yes, sir.
So
We'll maintain this whole pipeline all the way to the river.
Okay.
So,
Excellent.
unless the landowners lock us out, they can, and they want to bush hog it, bale hay on it or whatever, that's fine. But if they want us to, we will do it.
Yes, sir. All right. And then noise and smells that may be associated with the.
I'm sorry, no, there's your man right there.
Noise and smell.
We've been
It's
asked,
a water treatment plant.
good question, we've been asked this.
Very few.
Go ahead, man.
Virtually done.
Okay.
I mean.
No noise.
Smell. Noise, maybe some trucks, I mean, nothing out of the ordinary.
During the construction of the
Well,
project.
during construction, there'll be, of course, there'll be some noise, but during operations, it's virtually none.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good question.
Once
Sir.
it's in operation, I don't know if you'll even notice it's there.
No, you won't even know it's there.
We had a gentleman at one of the meetings that lives right there before the water plant's going.
Yes,
He
sir. I
came
believe that's my friend.
With a real concern, I don't blame him.
Yes, sir. And then dimensions of the water storage tank. So I guess that's on the southwest corner.
So that water storage, to give you a good idea, you know the Bryant water storage tank right over
Way
here
up
behind
there.
Walmart?
Not off the top of my head, but I can go look at it.
Okay.
Will it be visible from, do you know if it'll be visible from our subdivision? Like the height of it, I
Yeah,
guess?
sure it will, yeah,
Okay.
it'll be an elevated water storage tank.
Got it.
Up there.
Cool. And then, I'm sure you guys have already covered this, but the timeline, like when is this expected as far as the construction to be started and then completed?
We're stopped right now.
But it's 3 years, that's the number we're using.
Yeah, I would say 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years is what we use, hopefully the 3-year side, but that's gonna depend on, when we get our money and going to work and we gotta have every easement before we can start this project.
Right.
That's gonna dictate that timeline.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
No, anytime. Yes, sir.
We're here every month.
Yes, sir.
One more question.
Yes.
What happens, I don't know anything about your engineering or what happens if you run into some rock, that's solid rock?
We will, we have. Yes. That's right. Dynamite contractors will have to work there, especially there's no houses around there, or we go around it. There's not but two choices. We can't dynamite it, we gotta go around it.
And then what kind of cost is that gonna increase?
Really won't know until we do that, but,
We're used to working with rock.
yes, sir.
I'm sure you are.
We've already been digging, we know we gotta come.
We know a lot of that rock won't hammer
Yeah.
out, so we'll just have to deal with it. Try to avoid it.
Yeah.
That's why that option, that transmission pipeline down there, one, constructability, is just dig like that.
Yeah, that one will. And we have contractors that deal with that rock we'll be talking to about how and when. That's what they do for a living. and it was figured in.
It won't be us. I don't
No, no, no.
have a track, or
Well,
I don't even have a shovel. I mean, I do it at home. It's not a Christian to get a shovel. But the contractors who will be constructing this are used to working with that rock. That's how it should have said that.
Yes.
Yeah,
And they test the rock to see if they can do that and that it'll stay tight. And,
It'll be large equipment.
yeah. A lot of drilling going on, stuff like that. Yes, sir. Good question. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so after you choose a route, are you gonna do like a feasibility study to see if it's like feasible, like ground-wise, like we're talking about with the rock and stuff like that? Because a lot of that adds a lot of construction cost as well. And so,
Mhm.
I just didn't know have you already done like any feasibility studies?
We,
Like, cause you said you had like everything kind of your route secured up to the reservoir, and so I just didn't know if you'd gone in there and like found out if there is any rock or if there is any extra cost, at least that portion's. Do you have your easements for that side?
for that side, we're pretty much, got that one lined out, haven't we?
Well, the pipeline design is done, and easement preparation is made,
They've got to get
and
those.
the alignment is
Yeah.
set, and the easement acquisition is in process.
So,
So no easements have been,
no, some have. They've actually sent out, I can tell you,
yeah,
actually, we had a young couple meet with Mariah and one of the gentlemen that works for me. They didn't want the water line on their property line. They wanted the water line actually off their property line because they wanted a tree buffer between their property line.
Yeah.
And they met with Matt and he adjusted and actually they took a big picture of them, happy as,
some of that rock, you
Yeah.
can drill and dig.
Check.
huh? That with the check.
Dynamite houses around there, then we'll
Yeah.
have to do a 90 and go around.
okay.
It's
and
part of it, yes, ma'am.
Not too long ago, Hot Springs kind of had an issue with water and they figured it out, but they go directly from their water source to the water treatment plant. So the whole purpose of the reservoir is to avoid having humps, or what is the purpose of having the reservoir?
It has lots of purposes. One, it reduces the pumping cost, so we're not having to pump, we're only having to pump 8 miles instead of 30 miles. And we're pumping to that reservoir, and it also provides long periods of backup water supply in the event of a power problem or a tornado or some issue where we could not pump water from the reservoir. It'll hold millions and millions of gallons of water, and it'll have a big backup supply for the city, or for the system. It also provides lots of hydraulic benefits, because when you're pumping that long over a hill like that, there's hydraulic hammer and surge problems that can be complicated and damaging to the system. And in this way, we'll just keep, it'll keep the line flooded, and it'll be much more, it's operational.
You wouldn't have to go over that hill, like if you came directly from Rimmel Dam up and hit I-30 and found a straight way, I mean, that's literally like and right to where you want to go. And so I'm not saying that you could perfectly make all these acquisitions. It just seems to me a lot more cost effective. And for being on a budget, I didn't know if you had a budget, if it's posted somewhere, but I mean.
We want to go to that hill. This will be.
I know you want to. I just want to know if you have, like, if you even considered going straight to the treatment plant. Like, if cost was a thing, then why would you not?
Well, it's much longer to go around that, to go around that. But this will be the other water systems will be envious of this. Having a terminal storage reservoir on your raw water pipeline
Let me tell you this just from what I know, very little. Salem we're on Central Arkansas water coming from the north, and Benton. So all the CAW, which is over 3/4 of our water system, is gravity fed. We pull it in to Salem, and it goes back up to Lake Norwell to those people without a pump in the system. That has saved us millions in maintenance and pumps, and every few years it goes up. And so that's kind of everybody's design. And one reason we've held the rates down in Salem. is because we haven't had that. So that compounds as you go along.
So like, this is, the whole purpose of this project is to sustain water for future use, but it's being advertised as if it's gonna lower Bryant's water bill. Like, if you look at like the articles and stuff that has been wrote, it's like, oh, even the news had a broadcast on it, and it was like, Bryant may be looking at lower water bills soon. I mean, it was just so deceptive because that's not reality.
Right. Go ahead. It may start off a little bit, you know, we'll be even with them, but do you see CAW's rates they propose for the next, how long is it?
Yeah, I would say that water rates are really hard to predict at this point,
But they've
especially with
never
Act
gone
605. They've never gone down, and they're not going to go down.
No, and so I just feel like that's really like, I mean, everyone's like, oh, well, let's do it, we'll get a lower water bill, but that's not really like what it's about.
Yes,
It's
and
more
that's
about
not the message that
sustainability,
we're trying to
and
send.
we're gonna be the ones paying back this loan.
Right.
So, I mean, I just feel like, I know you don't want 3 other voting board members that aren't on a water board, but still, I mean, like, should the voters not have some say in any of it? I mean, like, it just, I don't know. That's y'all. I feel like the people paying for it should have some say in it.
Well, you know, if you own your own water system, you'll be in control of it. And Saline County will own it. CAW or Hot Springs, and we've met with all of them, talked about them, and that. We met with CAW, we still have the plans, them building a system for us. We'd never catch up, we'd never get there.
Yeah.
This way, we're in control and we'll know exactly why we're paying what we're paying.
Right.
And it will be less than any of them.
Yeah, but you're exactly right. The upfront cost is a little bit more, and we know that the ratepayers have to pay a little bit more to begin with. But if you look really at the project, and this actually goes for the reservoir too, the benefits of a reservoir and of this project heavily outweigh the cons that we're going to be facing. The rates that have just been presented, and it's 2025, which they're going to change and they're only going to go up, still even out by 2030. I think it was 2033 with CAW, and that's just their rates that they let out this year for their long term. So, I mean, rates are going to go up. Act 605 is absolutely going to mandate that they go up. We have to follow that regardless of who we get water from. We have to follow that. So if we have a choice to get water from somewhere where we have a say in where it comes from, how it gets to us, how we handle it, that has heavily outweighed the cons of, you know, the prices going up.
I mean, you do have the ability to influence that. Southwest has a board of people who volunteer their time to sit on their board that are, Jason Temple, who happens to not be here tonight, is who represents.
He was appointed.
Brian has a water and wastewater advisory committee, and we would love for you to be on it if you would like to be on
Well,
it.
she doesn't Brian, but I still don't live in Southwest.
I'm out of that business, but
I'm
thank
with
you.
ya.
I sit on the board. I just want to know who is sitting on the board.
Well, there's several of them. He's Salem, which is a different
But-
area, but
Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not, I mean, anyways, hold on, I have more questions.
That's fine.
And I will say, as far as
And they're
Brian,
not all mine, by the way.
That's all right.
Somebody called me and gave me
Okay,
these that they're not here
spokesman,
to.
yes, good.
as far as Bryant ratepayers as well, council did and has every step of the way. The Water and Sewer Advisory Committee and our city council has been actively a part of voting. They had to vote for us to sign the contract. They've had to decide all of that. So that's
Bryant
happened.
has.
Bryant has. I can't speak for anybody else.
I know,
but
but
yes.
that's just a small part of this. and it's just
Benton's
smaller.
city council approved this contract also.
I think every
Shannon Hill City Council.
I mean, and here, I will say this.
But you all have the same vested interest.
When you say we have a vested interest, my job as general manager of Benton Utilities is to make sure that my customers of Benton have sustainable water at a low price.
Okay.
I mean,
The low price isn't going to be there, but.
I will see zero increase from this. My ratepayers will see a zero increase
That's good enough.
because of this project.
Ma'am, one last comment to you. The water rate may be in there, but the infrastructure, that cost, that loan, that 30-year loan that's there will go down, and it goes down with more people. We're going to start with 40,000, 50,000 people. We don't know that number yet. That's going to go up fast. because they're gonna grow, everybody's gonna grow. But that infrastructure money will go down. Salem did it. It worked the same way. That's going away. We're paying on that all the time. They'll have theirs paid off in a few years. You can check our rates. They're down there.
And I'll tell you, why is this so valuable to us? It is sustainability, because right now we pour water from the Saline.
I said that, and that's.
But so that's why it's the raw water source. So, and it's not affecting their rates. Right now, I guarantee you, the people in Sheridan would love to have a backup plant.
Yes, right now, yeah.
Because you don't have, I do electric also. Not having electric for 3 days is bad. Not having water for 3 days or 4 days or 5 days is, you're a third world country.
I think she understands the sustainability part of it. She did say that, but I totally understand what you're saying with the rates and everything like that. It is something that we consider, and sadly, I mean, I hope that more people continue to come to the meetings and say stuff and have their input.
And one day, when everybody's hooked up, we're gonna stay hooked to CAW. We're gonna stay hooked to Benton. So if something happens to lines, they go down,
It's gonna be really sustainable.
something, everybody's gonna turn everybody in. We're all together on this. That's never happened in Saline County. But we are all right now together on this direction, man. So input is a big part. That's what makes us better. We've already seen it. So thank you. Anybody else? If not, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank y'all.
4 seconds.
Hey, hold on 1 second. What is next month's date? Let's do that right now. We do that before we leave.
June the 26th, 5 o'clock here.
June 26th, 5 o'clock right here. It'll be in the paper and on the news and wherever we can get it. Thank y'all.
So
I miss Boyd.
you're